Hey, welcome in everyone to our Bible study on Vayigash. We are in Genesis, um, still in the story of Joseph. It's expanding throughout the life of his brothers. We're actually in the portion from 44:18 to 47:27. Lots of stuff's happening here. We're seeing that it's the 11th portion for the Torah, and it's when things are getting ironed out between the brothers and between Joseph and the father. And we see him, we're bringing Benjamin into the story now because he makes them go back and get Benjamin. There's all this stuff going on here. They find the goblet in Benjamin's saddlebag for his donkey, and now he's going to take him captive. And we see some different things happening. So our focus is going to be some of the lessons we can learn and some of the prophetic significance behind the lives of Judah, Joseph, and Benjamin. So let's start in Genesis chapter 44. Thank you guys for studying with us today. In verse 18, it says, "Then Judah approached him being Joseph, and said, O my Lord, may your servants please speak a word in my Lord's ears, and do not be angry with your servant, for you are equal to Pharaoh. My Lord asked his servant, saying, have you a father or a brother?" So remember, the first time that they came before Joseph, he sent them back, or he asked them if they had a father and a brother. They tell him the whole story of what's happened and reveal that there is a younger son, Benjamin, that is at home with the dad. He makes them go and get Benjamin. They actually put it off for a long time, but when they need some more grain, they have to bring Benjamin back. So it's one thing to think about, first of all, that Joseph, when he asked that question the first time, he didn't necessarily know about Benjamin. Now, he did know that there was another son coming, because remember, in the prophecy of the sun, moon, and 11 stars, they were all bowing down to him. Well, at the point when he had that, at the point when he sees his brothers, he does not know about Benjamin, who would be that 11th star. But now we see Joseph asking about that, but he's really asking about himself and his father, right? He wants to see what they're going to say about the brother that they sold into Egypt. He doesn't know at this point if his dad played a part in the plan to sell him into slavery, like we talked about last week. Judah, though, affirms in this particular statement and in this first scene, he tells him, you're equal to Pharaoh. He's bowing down before him. He's actually affirming the prophetic dreams that Joseph had without even realizing it. And Judah, remember, was the one who planned to sell Joseph to, he said, let's not kill him, let's sell him, because he was not willing to share the inheritance that was for him and his brothers with this arrogant child, as he saw it, and son of someone that wasn't his mom. And he didn't want to share his father. He saw that the father favored him, and he didn't want to share those things. So Joseph is going to represent the nations, and we're going to see that in this passage in particular. So as we keep going through this, keep that in mind. So now we go into verse 32, and it says, for your servant, Judah still talking, accepted responsibility for the boy from my father, saying, if I do not bring him back to you, then my father can let me take the blame forever. So now please let your servant remain as a slave to my Lord instead of the boy, and let the boy go up with his brothers. For how shall I go up to my father if the boy is not with me? I fear that I may see the evil that would overtake my father. Okay, so we've got a different picture of Joseph here and a different picture of Judah happening. Judah, who wanted to sell his brother Joseph into slavery and make the money off of him, now is unwilling to give up his younger brother Benjamin, because now he's taking responsibility for him. Judah is unaware that he is speaking to the brother that he sold all those years ago. But Judah's heart has changed towards his brothers, his younger brothers, and he's now taking responsibility for this younger one, for the least of these, the youngest of these. And he genuinely cares about the condition and the heart of his father. He is worried about his father. He's repentant of what he's done. in the past. He's willing to give his own life for his brother because he desires to see his father with his younger brother. So he wants to see that relationship flourish. So something has significantly taken place in the heart of Judah, rather, that I want to explore. So in short, why did Judah change his mind? What changed the heart of Judah in this portion where we're seeing something happen in chapter 44 that did not take place with his brother Joseph? All right, if we journey back to Genesis 38, from all the way back then till now, what took place? Well, in Genesis 38, something happened to Judah after they sold Joseph. It says that he left his brothers and he went into the land of Canaan. Okay, Canaan is representative also of the nations. This was the people that they weren't supposed to mingle with, the people that they were supposed to stay separate from. But he joined himself to the nations by marrying a Canaanite wife. And he lost two of his sons to this woman, Tamar. They married him, but his sons were wicked. Why? Because they have part of the heritage of God and Yahweh, and they have part of the world, Canaan, and they keep choosing the world. And he lost two of his sons, and then after all of that, he leaves again, and he goes and he thinks Tamar is a prostitute, and he makes this whole arrangement with her. She becomes pregnant, and then she reveals the sin that he had with her dressed up as a prostitute, and exposes Judah. But Judah at that point repents and he seeks restitution. So we see this whole idea of Judah going from a place where he is just interested in having all of the inheritance for himself, protecting, getting rid of his brother, getting rid of the nations, getting rid of all these things, to now going through the reality that he is broken, he is flawed, he's made mistakes, he's lost his own sons, and now he is in a place to repent and receive restitution. We see prophetically, there's a prophetic picture here of Joseph, who would give birth to Ephraim and Manasseh, who became both half tribes of Israel. He is representative of the nations. He literally goes to the nations. He becomes an Egyptian. He has two Egyptian children, half Egyptian, half part of the tribe of Israel. And so he's representative of what we would refer to as the Goim, the nations in Hebrew, or in the New Testament, they're called Gentiles, which literally still means just the nations. Judah is representative of all the Messianic tribes. When he approaches in this passage Joseph to speak to him, at this point, Judah is representing all of the tribes of Israel, and he's representing his father. He's representing who we would call the Jews, even though that's a term that's not specific, or not used till way later. And we see this prophetic picture taking place of God's plan, because Judah was jealous of Joseph. Judah was unwilling to share the father with Joseph, and Judah got rid of Joseph and made him go into the nations, and all of this happened. It reminds me, if it's a prophetic picture of the Father's plan. If we go into Romans 10, it says, "But I say, surely Israel did not know, did they?" First, Moses says, "I will make you jealous by that which is not a nation. By a nation without understanding will I anger you." Romans 11 even goes on to say, and most of chapter 11 talks about this. "I say then, they did not stumble so as to fall, did they? May it never be." Talking about the Jews, talking about the people of God, talking about those coming from the other tribes, the 12 tribes of Israel, right? "But by their transgression, salvation has come to the Gentiles to make them jealous." That's exactly what happened to Judah, right? Now, if their transgression is riches for the world, those are the nations, and their failure is riches for the Gentiles, the nations, how much more will their fulfillment, the house of Israel, the people of God, be? For if their rejection is the reconciliation of the world, what will their acceptance be but life from the dead? Such a really beautiful picture now of what we find in the story of Joseph, Judah, and Benjamin. We see this prophetic picture of what's happening today, that the nations owe Israel everything because of the godly heritage, the Torah, the teachings, the person of Messiah that came through the lineage of Judah. We owe Israel everything for the heritage that they've given us. But Israel owes the nations because the nations have shown them the love and the mercy and the grace and the character of the Father. So you see that the house of Judah, the house of Israel, which is Joseph, and Ephraim, you see these things coming together, the two becoming one, because we are incomplete without each other. All of us need to be reminded that we are desperately dependent on the work of the Father. We're not there because of our lineage. We're not there because of our heritage. We're not where we are because we were born into the right family or anything else like that, because we have the right blood ethnically running through our veins, but it's because of the work of Messiah that came through the line of Judah, and this opening up of the kingdom to the nations, which came through Joseph, that we see this beautiful picture taking place now. It is and then in Genesis 45, we see Joseph finally breaks down and tells them, "I am Joseph. I am. Is my father still alive?" This conversation with his brothers just keeps growing and growing to the point where he can't handle it anymore. Now Joseph is alive. Joseph is now back from the dead, just like it talked about in Romans 11:15, that rejection is the reconciliation of the world, and that acceptance now by the world is life from the dead. Why? Because the nations were cut off. The nations were dead, and now there's life coming through the dead because of Messiah. Then Joseph said to his brothers, "Please come closer to me." And they came closer and said, "I am your brother Joseph, whom you sold into Egypt. Now do not be grieved or angry with yourselves because you sold me here, for God sent me ahead of you to save lives." So now he's recognizing that this is not the doing of his brothers, but the will of his Father in heaven. For the famine has been great in the last 2 years, but there are still 5 years in which there will be neither plowing nor harvesting. So God sent me ahead of you to ensure for you a remnant on the earth. Listen to this. It's very similar language to what we just read in Romans 11:15, life from the dead. He says this, "And to keep you alive by a great deliverance. For therefore, if it was not you who sent me here, but God, and he has made me a father to Pharaoh and Lord of all his household and ruler over all the land of Egypt." So now we see again, in the same way that Judah was withholding the inheritance, the blessing, the relationship with the Father from the nations, representative within Joseph, and selling Joseph out to the nations, getting rid of him, getting him out of the Father's house. Now he's gone through all those things. His heart's been opened. And now with Benjamin, he's showing Joseph, no, all of us can be a part of this. The Father's love is greater. The pride that I had in my own heart is gone. And we see even prophetically that Joseph, coming from the house of Israel, has been made like a father to Pharaoh and Lord of all his household, showing that from Israel, from the Messiah, all of the nations of the earth are going to bow. They're going to kneel. They're going to claim him as Lord, because that's what he is. And it's like Philippians said, every knee shall bow in heaven and on earth and under the earth, and every tongue confess that Yeshua is Lord, according to God the Father, right? So let's summarize all this. So we see Judah started from a place of opposition to the nations. That's just like what's going on today. For a long time, some Jews didn't want Gentiles to have anything to do with their truth, right? But Judah repents and prioritizes his father and embraces his brother. And so now the two can become one new man, as is talked about in the New Testament. And Judah shows the coming Messiah's willingness to sacrifice his own life for the least of these, representative in Benjamin. And then Joseph understands that the events of his life were the will of the Father, prophetic, and they were prophetic in nature, showing us that no matter where we come from, no matter how far we've been removed from the original plan of the garden or of Israel, that all of us can now come in through Messiah. So um, the kingdom has, I don't know why I typed roof there. I know why I typed roof there, because it was a muscle memory thing. But the kingdom has room for us all, or we can all abide under the same roof with God, with Messiah. So we are now responsible to share the good news. We have to make sure we are not like that elder brother trying to keep people out of the kingdom by not sharing the good news with them. Whether we feel like we're the elder brother or whether we feel like we're the nations, it is our responsibility now for both sides to share the truth of who Messiah is and what he desires to do. And I think that is something that I took away from this portion that I had not seen there before. But yeah, hopefully that makes sense. We need to put ourselves in this story in the perspective of, by the way, this is what the prodigal son in the New Testament is relating to. It's relating to this story. You have Judah, the elder brother, who he's always been there, and then you have this younger brother that is representative of the nations. And we have to make sure we are not that judgmental elder brother who is self-righteous and can't see the value and beauty in the relationship that the father has with the younger son. We also have to make sure we're not the younger son that casts off the responsibility onto the older brother, and we can just do whatever we want now because of Messiah. No, it's not like that at all. These two things are supposed to merge together so that we are one new man in Messiah. So anyway, hopefully that makes sense. You guys can discuss this and how this has implications for us today as we continue to share the good news and see people's lives changed and hearts changed and get over our own, maybe our own prejudices towards any types of groups of people. You know, we see this even in the church, that people want to, well, you don't believe exactly like me, so you're kind of on the fringe of the kingdom. We got to stop doing all that stuff and get to the place where we understand there's beauty in all of the people of Messiah, from Judah to Joseph to Benjamin. We all have a place under the roof of our Father. And so we need to get over all the petty little differences and focus on Messiah. So God bless you. Shabbat shalom, and have a wonderful rest of your day.